Here is my latest addition, the latest addition to my collection of sewing machines, and it's a surprise find. So I've been trying to find a mechanical machine which would allow stretch stitching successfully. The dressmaker I had didn't work very well for treadling, and I wanted to try once again before I give up totally on this, and this is the machine I found. So I have treadled it. You just take off this end panel, so it's a bit ugly, but I plan to do a bit of surgery on the bottom to create a hole down here to let the treadle belts come out. But as the machine comes, it's a real marvel. So it has a light. As you can see, the top switch is the light, and then this is the low and high speed for the machine. So if you're doing a lot of low speed work, that helps keep the motor and the foot pedal from overheating, and it can be used as well with a digital foot if you want. Here we have the darning and the sewing position, so that's now in the sewing position. We have the reverse indicator, stitch length here on this knob, so you can see up here, so set it to 2.5. Here we have the stitch width position, as well as a 4-step buttonhole built in. In the middle here we have some built-in cams. So this is left needle position, center needle position, right needle position, cams. Then we have the scallop, multi-point zigzag, blind stitch, and then back to this. So with this machine, we've got a full set of cams here, which I've been quite intrigued with. So I have tested them out, and they all work very well. So, what's kind of fun about this machine? Well, I will move the camera to the other side so you can see, but it's a class 15 bobbin, as you can see here. So that's large capacity oscillating hook, smooth and very, very nice to use. Bring up the needle thread, and it's nice and easy to put in the plate. Now this particular model, which is the Riccar Super Stretch 570, does not come by default with a straight stitch plate. So, because I don't approve of that ever, I decided to order a whole bunch of different plates to see which one would fit, including some Kenmore, and I hoped they would fit, but they're wider. However, the Riccar 777 and 555, as well as the Morse N2325 plate, does fit. However, what you can see is the bobbin plate is different, and I'm waiting for that to arrive, but it does fit. The feed dogs are different, because this is a split feed dog, where that's a center single one, so I've ordered a new set of feed dogs at the same time, so very soon I'll be able to drop all that in, and I will have a straight stitch plate as well. So I'm very, very pleased about that. So once that's conquered, then there's really nothing I can complain about with this machine. On top here we have the bobbin winder, press into the wheel. This is just my own thread stand. It does not come by standard. There are two thread stands here. Because it's front facing to me, it is double needle capable. This little knob up here is the adjustment for the speed of the cam, so you can stretch out patterns and whatnot. So here are the full set of cams, and it has quite an interesting selection, many of which are different than ones I already have on other machines. So I've got a leaf pattern. Let's see if we can move this in a bit closer. It's got a fish pattern, a leaf pattern, a flower pattern, a stretch zigzag, a darning pattern, which is quite interesting. It goes back and forth quite a big distance like a lot of the digital machines do, so you can darn and you just move it side to side. Then it's got some swans by the looks of it, maybe a duck. Then it's got this leaf pattern here, some sort of staggered zigzag, some loop-de-loop, some hearts, some other types of flowers, stretch, straight stitch, another fancy pattern here with snowflakes or something like that, typical crisscross. It's got the sort of Roman pattern, it's got some flowers, and then it's got another of other more common type zigzag pattern. So it's got a good list, and I thought I would show you some of these now. So I've got a bit of scrap fabric. So built into it, it has zigzag, the blind hand multi-point zigzag and crescent. I suppose that is. It's scallop or crescent maybe. You just turn the knob and then you adjust the zigzag width. So I'll show you this in straight stitch. The width position indicator is inside here, and before we go, what I will do is, that's the tension knob as usual, I will put the camera on the other side. So one moment. So I've turned off the light because I think that will just help a bit. So straight, center needle, 2.5, and off we go. So I've not got this on the treadle at the moment, but it does work. So that's a nice machine. So that's the slow speed, that's the fastest speed. It's got a good speed to it. Very smooth, and you can see you get really good slow control. Which is pretty nice on a mechanical machine. So I'll show you a bit of zigzag on this. Now, I didn't know much about the Riccar company, never having really seen many of their machines before. And a lot of the ones I've heard on the YouTube videos have been fairly noisy. So I thought, And then other ones I've heard are really quiet. So I think it depends on which model. But I thought this one might be very close to the Kenmore. Now, because Kenmore uses different dimensions, I needed something that would fit in my table with all my other machines. So this one I thought might luck out and find a machine that is super good. And I have lucked out, and it is super delightful to sew on. Needs tension slightly increasing. And then we'll decrease the stitch length here to see what. So that's maximum speed on the slow. Reduce that a little bit more, get a better slap and stitch. A little more. Touch more, and high speed. That's really good. Oh, it's sewing really nicely. So we'll move on to a little bit more now. So it's actually gentle enough to the mechanics of this machine are actually smooth enough. So here's the stitching, really good satin stitch considering the thread, really nice. So that's only using cheap thread just for this test. It's actually overlocking thread, so it's not good quality, but it's actually very good consistent stitch. I could make it slightly closer together if necessary. But let me go here to the next part. So, to put in a cam, we turn it over to cam. Now this is double needle capable, so that means you can adjust the stitch width for any of the cams. So, what we can do is, let's put this flower thing in. So there's the flower cam. Let's see if we can get it. There we are. So it's hard to see in the light. You just put these in and the cams in, and you turn them till the cam pops on the little pillar. Turn it to full stitch width, turn it to maximum length, and then sort of a normal pattern to see what you get in the top, and then off we go. So you can see it's very smooth back and forth action, really smooth, which is what I like about it. So it's actually it's a double pulley system in here, which is what gives you the extra control. So you can see that's really good, and you can adjust those. So that's about set right. So the flower looks like a flower. So we'll just zoom a little more, and then I'll switch over to another pattern for fun. Okay. See, there's none of that reverse clicking that you often hear on machines. Not that that's bad, it's just, there isn't any. It's perfectly smooth, like a lot of my machines with this back and forth. It's mostly metal. This is about the only plastic bit that I found on this machine. There may be one in behind the bobbin, but I've only seen it advertised that there's sometimes parts, but I'm not sure. But this machine's working perfectly, so I'm not too worried about it. Okay, so this is supposed to be a duck. So you can see there's a little gap here. So that means that pattern is too far apart. So if I just turn this to reduce it a bit, let's see what difference that makes. And the duck is now joined up. This is what you expect. Or closer to being joined up anyway. That's a very nice looking duck. So you see how you can reduce them. Either have a bigger gap or a smaller gap, but that's how the pattern works. So let's do a few more and then we'll switch directions. So you can see this is just on shirting fabric and it's sewn really well. Not puckering the fabric or anything. It's great. Okay, so we'll pull this out. And then I'm not sure even what this does, but we'll find out in a second. So the neat thing about this machine is this actually pulls the reverse part out. So you have to make sure not to sew with that door open, otherwise you sew in reverse. It's just because it's so clever, it pulls all the mechanism out of the way for when you put in the cams. So let's see what the difference between the other flower stitch and this flower stitch are. I've not tried this one yet, so I actually have no idea. It's just a different type of flower, so if I reduce this down, so it's a different type of flower, basically, which is very nice. So let me just show you stretch. And the sound is straight stretch. So that works really well. So we'll do one more just for fun. Hearts and leaves. This one is the one that intrigued you the most. It's quite handy. It saves having to go like that. But watch. So it's probably worth reducing. Yeah. So you just let it. You can push it a bit to slide it, so it just literally goes back and forth, which is quite neat. To repair, you can move it around as you want. I think that's pretty funky. Just allows you to do repairs. It's kind of fun. And then we'll do a really normal type. Now what would be kind of neat is if the Singer ones fit this, but they don't. Otherwise you could just put all your Singer cams in there. And then you get a huge variety on this. But these are very nice nonetheless. Okay, so we need to reduce this down to satin stitch, and let's see what we get. Very typical sort of domino type or type. So I'm really pleased with this machine. I think it sews beautifully well, and it's extremely quiet, and it's easy to use. And I am delighted to add to this to my collection. So the one thing I have only just slightly tested on but want to do a full test on is how well it does for free motion embroidery. That's my sort of final test on the machine. I'm guessing it should be flawless like my side-facing bobbin, but because this is a front-facing bobbin, I don't know how they compare to the side-facing bobbin, of course, which is generally the preferred. So whether or not this will work as well as a side-facing, but I'm going to run that as a test in the future and do some work on that. But I am thrilled to show you this wonderful Riccar machine. Aluminium, treadleable, and really nice. So there are your stitches. Splendid results. And the back side just as good as the front. You know, how amazing is that? These, I tightened the stitch here a bit. I know these are a bit loose here, but I did notice that after and then tightened it up for those ones, so you can see by the time I tightened it up it's fine. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed that video. Bye for now. Let's go. Right, off we go. So I'm just making sure the fabric doesn't pucker. So as you're going along there. Make sure it doesn't get stuck under there. A little bit of thread stand vibration against the wall.